And then there were four. Semifinals are here. Only strong survive at this point, man. This is we got some area teams still left in Central Florida. We had some monster games this past week. Derek, Matt, Preston Jackson here and BCP podcast, and we're gonna jump right into it. Any surprises from the quarterfinals? Any surprises from either of you?
One of the obvious local ones is just Booker making their run. Sarasota Booker. They went through a Polk County traditional power in Fort Meade, and to see what they're doing, I think that's an interesting story. Deland not only beating Treasure Coast but putting it down on them boys, 37-6. I think that came as a shocker. Darlington over at Deland, that doesn't surprise me, having his team hitting peak at the right time of year, but I didn't expect to see a Treasure Coast be beat by 30. That's just some of the ones popping out. But what you got, Matt?
Yeah, I know that Plant and Sumner game was a battle. Plant ended up winning, getting through. It's unfortunate with Tech. I was hoping they were able to beat Jones. And then the Gaither Jesuit. I know that was. I think a lot of people thought Jesuit might have gotten the W for that one, but Gaither pulled through. Super proud of them. We talked about them all season long about their schedule being super tough and them squeezing all the way to the semi-state finals. So big ups to them. Berkeley Prep as well. They were able to get the W last week as well. So good to see a couple Tampa teams make it a little bit further in this playoffs. Is always good to see. So,
I'm gonna go on the opposite side of surprise. I just want to highlight a few teams and some players, like the CDS CCC game, Carewood Day versus Clearwater Central Catholic game was a 2-point spread. CCC pulled it out on a last-second field goal. Tremendous play by a number of these players, and just give me a second so I can drop some numbers, man. Jordan Magwood, CDS, was 22 of 34 for 437 yards, 5 TD passes. Not to be outdone because Jershawn Newton was 16 of 23, 295 passing yards, 1 passing TD, but went for 164 rushing yards on the ground and 2 TDs. Quarterbacks had phenomenal games. Big-time players on both sides stepped up in big ways. Bredell Richardson, 171 receiving yards. Isaiah Williams, 173 receiving yards for Carewood Day. And then Caleb Goodlow for CCC, 6 receptions, 159 yards. It was a monster game back and forth. CDS actually took the lead with about 4 minutes left in the game. And then CCC put together a final drive, a lot of it attributed to Jershawn Newton, and then end up kicking that field goal to go up by 2, and then was able to play defense to end that game. CCC is still alive. This is their second year making it this far. They played in the state championship last year. So these two teams, collision course every year, have a fantastic game. Now, looking forward, is there a semifinal matchup that you're like, let's talk about, Derek. I know you said, hey, the reseeding. What is your just knee-jerk reaction on whether or not the FHSAA should reseed at the Final Four?
I'm okay with it. I think I've never had a problem with reseeding at really any sport, any level. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it justifies a reward for having a great regular season to be able to reseed to a favorable matchup. I'm okay with it. But yeah, I didn't even know that they did that until I was looking at I looked at class 1S. I'm like, just saw some of the reseeding there. I'm okay with it. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Matt, how about yourself?
I'm not really sure what the term is. It's kind of new to me.
Okay, so what happens is, and this is for anybody out there, you start with an original seed all the way. Well, you start with the original seed, playoff seed, so 1 seed through 8 seed, right? Now, once you get to the semifinals, what they try to do is reward the higher seeds by again giving them the lower seed to play. So
Okay.
they take the remaining 4 teams, and based on your end of the season FHSAA ranking, they reseed you 1 through 4 for the semifinals. So it's not uncommon, right? It's not uncommon for sports to do that. And obviously what they're trying to do is say, hey, if we started you at the top, we want to make sure that we get the top teams all the way through. So they reseed it and give them, quote unquote, the lower ranked team to try and ensure that the better teams make it to the final.
Yeah. I mean, it also gives a chance for the lower team to beat the better team, and prove themselves. So it makes sense why they seeded.
Now, talking about the lower team and better team and a David and Goliath setup, Gaither, St. Thomas. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Gaither. All right. So let's backtrack and talk about how we spoke on the Gaither Jesuit game before it happened. I think all of us agreed that Jesuit game versus Gaither, round 2, was going to be another good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gaither prevails this time in OT yet again. Now, once they reseed, Gaither's on the road, and they got to go see the Mammoth in St. Thomas Aquinas.
Mm-hmm.
How does Gaither beat St. Thomas?
Yeah, no, I think if they can stop, it'll be a fun game for one to go see St. Thomas and Stacy Gage over there. He's from Tampa, Wharton from last year, so we kind of see. It'd be fun to see the him play another Tampa team. So, but Gaither, they can compete with them. I believe being able to beat Jesuit. I think Jesuit is a caliber team of St. Thomas Aquinas. So if Gaither comes out and their quarterback he's going to throw like he's been doing all season, and they're able to complete those passes, and I know they have some really good cornerbacks and a really good defense. If Gaither's defense can step up and they have that number one we talked about all season long, if he can really put the pressure on St. Thomas's quarterback, you might just see an upset. I think on paper we would naturally think St. Thomas Aquinas is just gonna, this might be their 4th championship in a row, if I'm not mistaken, maybe more. So they have the upper hand as far as that, but David and Goliath, you just never know. Gaither, they've been put to the test a lot this year, and they've kind of came together, and they did a great job last Friday. If they can continue that momentum, they might be able to wow the world. You just never know in football.
You've been around, Derek, and you've seen some upsets in your day.
Yep.
Talk to me. Tell the Gaither faithful how they can take down the mighty St. Thomas Aquinas.
Well, all right. So what you can always, there's a few things that you can count on every single year from Aquinas. Number one, special teams, they're always well coached. It's as if they've got 5 special teams coaches teaching every single thing from the snap to the hold to just everything. So that their special teams are going to be on point. They always have a solid kicking game. That's number one. Number two, you can always count on a deep and solid secondary. So anytime you walk into Aquinas and play them, you know that it's going to be tough establishing the passing game. So that's number two. The other thing you can count on is a big, beefy offensive line. They're going to lean on you. So if I'm looking at this from a Gaither perspective, I'm hoping Henley, number one, can maybe shoot a gap, get after that quarterback a little bit, and cause some trouble there, maybe force a turnover early, stuff like that. That's number one. Number two, I would try to slow down the game. I'm trying to chew clock. Maybe if I can get a 5 to 7 minute possession early on, getting into the second quarter, tied or down 7-3, something manageable. That's kind of the approach when you tackle a dominant force like Aquinas. You just got to know what you're going up against. So Gaither is going to have to establish some sort of run game against them, and if they get into a predictable having the pass situation, it's going to be tough. They're a great all star type of team. And it is what it is. They're the best of the best. They're not only one of the tops in the state, but they're one of the tops in the country. So when you go against them, I don't care who you are, you're going to have you're you're at a disadvantage. So you've got to figure out a way to slow down the game, run that clock when you can. If you're on offense, take that clock down every single snap. Try to slow it down. When I say slow it down, you're speeding it up. You want that clock to run. You want to minimize the number of possessions that you give them, and you got to be solid in special teams. It's gonna be tough, but if Gaither's gonna pull this out, they're gonna have to win the turnover battle. They're gonna have Henley get in there, cause a sack, cause a fumble, pick it up, scoop a score, something like that. It's gonna have to be something like that. And then maybe at halftime, Aquinas comes out in the third quarter. If it's tied or close, maybe they start pressing a little bit, and sometimes momentum can shift. And you know how momentum is. You just want to get it at the right time. But that's how I would be approaching this game and trying to take down a powerhouse. That's kind of what you'd have to do right there, I think.
Steal possessions by eating up clock.
Yeah.
If you don't score, put together a 3 to 5 minute drive, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Do the first things first and tackle well on defense. Okay, let's just tackle well on defense. I'm just going to put the pressure on Henley. This is one of those games. If you want to become legendary, you want to wear that jersey number 1, you want to become legendary, this is that game. This is that game where he enforces that he's the best defensive tackle in the area. I don't think they're going to let Jace Nixon get off. But what I do think Jace can do is let the game come to him and pick his moments. I think Elijah Mason is not going to be able to run between the tackles well, but he can get outside where he's gaining 3 to 5 yards a pop and move those chains. Number 100 on my list, tackle well. I repeat, just tackle well. Don't give them big plays when they don't deserve it, right? Don't slip a hitch. Don't give them a 5-yard hitch and let it go for 60. Tackle the 5-yard hitch, play for another down. I think Gaither is going to play well enough first half, and then they have to expect that surge in the second half. So what are going to anticipate those halftime adjustments, and how are you going to be able to take the punch in the mouth that St. Thomas is going to bring in the second half? Because if Gaither hangs in there for the first half, those St. Thomas Aquinas coaches, they ain't playing the second half. Here it comes. So now you got to be able to come off those ropes and get yourself out the corner. Now, speaking of get out the corner, Tyler Williams doesn't play for Sumner, Matt, on Friday. He went down with that ankle injury the game before. Plant beats Sumner again for the second year in a row. What do you think the impact was with Tyler Williams, Greg's main receiver, not being eligible, not being healthy to play that game?
Yeah, he's definitely a super weapon, man. Having him is tough. I mean, having him out is tough, to make those adjustments. I know it pretty much is going to put more slack on. I didn't get to watch the game. Saw some good highlights. Looks like they had to put more of the slack on Malik Brown, not having the option to throw to Tyler. But Plant, I've seen them a couple times this year, and we've talked about them, how they have that really good coaching and just how they've been able to just put their team together, and they're just they just stay tough. And, I'm not too surprised. I figured it'd go down. It'd be a close game with Tyler as well, seeing them play. So him having it out, I mean, I think it can make an impact, but I think Plant, they're a really good team. I don't want to make excuses for them, but it does. If you would have asked me, I would have thought that Sumner would have probably won it, and seeing both teams play on two different occasions, but I wouldn't put it past Plant. Seeing them, how they can just stay strong, and they're very well coached. They have two quarterbacks they can shift around. When their senior quarterback's getting tired or whatnot, they put the junior quarterback in, and he's actually really good. He's almost as good as the senior, And so you have a couple different, Plant looked really good. So I I knew it would be a close game. So congrats to Plant definitely for squeezing through that one. They're gonna have a big week. They got to play Columbus. Um, Columbus traditionally is very well. I've got to see Jesuit play Columbus. I believe it was last year. I don't know if they played them earlier this year, but Columbus is going to be one of those caliber teams like a St. Thomas Aquinas. Just those teams from the South. They're just built a little different than us up here. It seems like, and so we get to see the challenges. It's hopefully Plant can hold it down for our city of Tampa and maybe go, upset the world. I'd love to see them get another state, at least make it to the state championship. I'm not sure their last win, but it's probably been a couple of years since they've been a state championship team. So it'd be pretty cool to see what happens. So what do you think?
I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna here goes my hot take, and you guys get ready because I'm gonna ask you your hot take coming up next. Hank Brown, Plant head coach of the year. Okay, just gonna throw it out there, and this is without much thought. So I'm allowed to change my mind in the coming weeks. However, Plant started off the season right. I just hedged my bet just like that. But Plant started off the season 0-2, lost to the Tech first game of the season, lost to Berkeley Prep. Berkeley Prep still alive. Tech just went down to regional finals. So you're talking about two teams that made deep runs in the playoffs. And then after that, Plant has not seen an L. They've been rolling. And if you look at Plant side by side with some of these other teams in the area, you would think, okay, Plant's not as talented as the teams who are still playing or have dropped out in recent. If you put Sumner side by side with Plant, you'd be like, there's no way Sumner loses to Plant. However, yet again, they did. Yet again, Plant has put together a game plan and gotten those kids to run through a wall for them. And Hank Brown is doing a fantastic freaking job over there at Plant High School. So hats off to him and that staff and those players for just rocking and rolling. And good luck to them this week against Columbus. Columbus 11-2. Plant's going to be on the road. So they're going to have their hands full down in Miami. But if anybody can do it, the Panthers sure can. Now, Lakeland, back where they belong. Anytime the season gets long, you can count on the Dreadnoughts being down there. You know what I mean? Lakeland always does their thing, man. I'm just always, and here goes the thing about Lakeland. And we talked about this prior to the season starting, is that this is one of those years where they finally put a real schedule together, right? They didn't have any cupcakes at home. They struggled early in the season. They had a brand new quarterback. They had some unproven players. But yet again, when the season gets long, after Thanksgiving, after the turkey is gone, the Dreadnoughts are still there. Now, they've got Buchholz. Okay, and if you know anything about Gainesville Buchholz, that is traditional powerhouse up north in North Florida. And I think this is going to be a good one. Buchholz comes in at 13-0. And I'm looking on Buchholz's schedule to try and see if they've been challenged at all this season. And it looks like they've kind of worn teams out, man. They've worn teams out along the way.
They've got a running back over there that is just a big timer, and they've got a center that's one of the better centers in the state of Florida. They've got a team that can do that to you. When they get up, they're just going to punch you in the mouth, and that's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game. I mean, we talked about almost pencil in Lakeland versus Venice, but Buchholz might have they might have something to say about that. And I'll just tell you, the running back they've got the running back over there he reminds me of remember last year the Lehigh, the big body kid. This kid at Buchholz is very similar to that. Just a great running back. I expect him to have a big game. They're solid in the middle part of the field. They always have good line depth. It's going to be a heck of a game. And yeah, Buchholz might do it. And Buchholz has a chance, I think, to win the title this year. And if they do that, they're going to have to go through Lakeland and Venice. But this Buchholz team can do that, so it's going to be interesting.
So I don't think I forgot. Go, both of you, and I'm going Matt first. Matt, you're early. You're early coach of the year candidate, and go.
Early coach of the year candidate. Yeah, I think the plant head coach right now is definitely a good candidate. What was his name?
Hank Brown.
Hank Brown. Yes, sir. Yeah, the way he's been able to pull his team together and get them all the way up here into the playoffs. So we'll see how far they can keep winning. But yeah, he's definitely get my vote.
Derek, who you got?
So, I mean, just speaking Hillsborough County, obviously Plant, but a similar situation in the fact that they had some early season adversity going on. I think Kirk Carson over at Gaithers turned things around, and just what he's been able to do at the tail end of the year and build momentum, and then put it together for this deep playoff run. I think that's definitely something you got to put on the radar right there. So, maybe throw Kirk Carson's name in there too, amongst others. Jesuit probably would have been the choice if they would have pulled out the one at Gaither, because I think what they even did was as impressive, if not even a little bit more. But for Gaither to top them last week, I think it tells you a little bit about what Carson's got going over there at Gaither. So, but yeah, there's a number of good coaches in the county, but yeah, we'll see.
I want to touch on Venice, but before I get to Venice, I want to pick up the other school in Sarasota. So I want to give you guys both a chance to look at Sarasota Booker's numbers and pull them up on your screen, and just kind of talk about Sarasota Booker, because we haven't hit on them much. But I think now they're slapping us in the face because they deserve to be talked about with the season they're having. And Sarasota Booker had a few seasons where they were below 500. They're the doormat of the county at times. They were right above 500. They were just a team. Nobody thought about them. But that purple is popping right now. And everybody speaks on, including ourselves, we speak on the mighty Venice and the machine that is in Sarasota, which is Venice. But Sarasota Booker is doing their thing. So as you guys get that pulled up, man, just kind of talk to the people. And Derek, you may want to go first. Just talk to people about what you think Sarasota has done this year.
Well, I saw a game early on in the year. I haven't watched too much film on them, but I did notice they had a quarterback over there doing some good things. Followed up with a coach needing to get game film on to give you more of a thorough evaluation. But they used to be that powerhouse back in the day, and they used to have these bright the blue and bright yellow uniforms. And Marlon Mack, Dumac Atkins back in the day. They've had some of the best talent in the area, including Tampa. They've had some of the best talent run through that program right there. And they followed up. They have been down a little bit in the past a little bit, and Venice has grabbed a lot of the the momentum down in Sarasota County, but Booker was a powerhouse just not 10, 15 years ago in terms of talent. Now, where I think sometimes what happens is they'll run into a depth across the offensive line and defensive line issues, and sometimes when you get into these the Miamis and the Duval County and the Orlando, Tampa, you'll have one or two weak spots on the line that gets exposed by a team that goes four deep on the D line, with big timers. But it's good to see them getting back on track. Their new uniforms throw me off a little bit. I don't even know how new they are, but I'm just used to that old uniform they used to have back in the day. But yeah, no, I need to do some further game film breakdown on Booker. But I did notice some quarterback talent over there and some wide receivers. They always got wide receivers making plays, skilled kids. But I would be curious on that line depth, and as they stack up Who are they? Who are they? They're in the.
They've got Coco.
Yep.
That's a tall task. They've got Coco.
Yep.
Um, so that's a tall task for them, obviously.
It's a
But
tall
they
task
they
for anyone in that bracket. Coco honestly Coco and Aquinas. Those are two of the kind of just dominant forces over the past decade. If you had to pick two teams that have just dominated, I mean, it's it's hard to find someone, But yeah, Coco Booker. Yep, that's gonna be a tough game, but we'll see.
There, Jordan Johnson, their quarterback, has been doing some good things. And before I speak on individual players, they're a very balanced team, and their numbers aren't great. However, they're very balanced with run and pass. Jordan Johnson, their junior quarterback, is completing about half of his balls. He's got 14 TDs and only 2 interceptions. So for the most part, he's taking care of the ball. Okay, they've got a number of players who are able to run the ball. Tuda Hunter, senior running back, 850 yards. He's averaging about a half a first down every time he touches the ball, and he's got 7 TDs. They got 21 rushing touchdowns on the ground. So their offensive production is good. It's not great, but I'll tell you what the truth is, it's good enough to get them to the semifinals. And they're a 9-4 team. And with that 9-4, their losses go to Immokalee, Berkeley Prep, Wiregrass Ranch, Lemon Bay. Okay. And their most recent wins starting the playoffs, Fort Meade, Lemon Bay, Bishop Verot. So they're a quality team, and they're just not talked about enough because in recent years they just haven't won enough. But now they're there, and people have to recognize that it's been a good season for them. It's been a good season. Matt, what are your findings?
Yeah, no, it's looks like they had a great season. You can see where they lost to Lemon Bay, and then they were able to make adjustments. And when they played them again, they beat Lemon Bay. So they're getting better. They beat a strong Bishop Verot last week. Coco is a strong team. We've talked about them a little bit this year, so we'll have to see how it plays out. You're every team this deep is going to be a solid team. So we're gonna see some really good games this week. I'm excited to check them out.
Yeah, for them to knock off Bishop Verot's got just a great program down there right now, and that was a shocker, quite honestly. If I had to pick out a shocker, it was probably them or Sanford Seminole losing, going down. I mean, that was Bishop Verot's got a hell of a team down there right now, and for them to pull off that was a heck of a win for them.
Well, mighty Venice, the big dogs in Sarasota, 11-2 currently right now. They've got DeLand. Okay, they've got DeLand. Derek, just give our fans a bit of history on how good DeLand's been, like forever.
Well, so and there's a common thread there. They really do. They've got a real nice quarterback, obviously over there. They always have solid line play. Darlington, Coach Darlington used to be at Apopka back in the day, and he kind of had that program humming, well-oiled machine. And the kids were just mean. They were strong. You knew when they got off the bus that you were in for a tangle, and that's what he's got going on over at DeLand right now. It's just in an area you go through there and you're like, there's a big time football program here. And, then the kids get off the bus and it's like, okay, yeah, we're in for a fight. And that's kind of what Darlington's got going on over there at DeLand right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's, they had a big win last week, and they're certainly they're a solid program. So if you wanted to mirror that school, it's similar to what those big time Apopka teams from 10, 15 years ago. Similar. So that's gonna be a heck of a game, Venice against DeLand. That's at Venice. Yep.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
And DeLand, shout out to my boy Doug Pugh out there. That's his alma mater. longtime BCP writer. Got to give my boy Douglas Pugh a shout out for his Bulldogs advancing to the state semifinal. So for him, go Dogs. Matt, anything jump out at you when you look at those numbers on Max Preps by either one of those teams?
Well, I'm looking at Venice. They are 11-2, and Deland is both. They're both 11-2. I liked how Venice, they lost their first two games, Armwood, Cocoa, but they really turned it around and they really came together. They look really strong. But Deland looks really strong too. I think we're gonna probably. It's hard to pick which team would win or not because, they can go either way. They're both such great teams, but
my X Factor player who is not really an X Factor, but I think it's one of those games where your star player just starts being magnified. And I think Jaden Glasser for Venice is going to have a masterful game, and he's going to put on a show. He's been super consistent all year long, but I think at this time of the year, a senior quarterback with as much experience as he has, it's going to be his time. And I think he's going to put this team on his back, and he's going to have one of those performances where Peacock, the magic that he does down in Venice with all his great quarterbacks, I don't think Glasser is going to miss that boat. It's going to be another really good performance out of another really good Venice quarterback. Okay, so shout out to those boys down south in Sarasota. Good luck, handle your business. Venice is built for this time of year. When it gets chilly, Venice is always there. So now we haven't spoken on Berkeley Prep, a team that doesn't pass the ball much, but they got a guy by the name of Dallas Golden. Okay. And he's as good as they get. And Berkeley Prep always has one or two guys who are just out freaking standing. They had that last year in Townsend. They had the DN, the name slips my mind, that ended up at Alabama. And forgive me, fans out there, 1,000 kids in my name.
Keely.
Yeah. There you go, Keely. Okay. Then they have they always have something that they can rely on. This year, their starting quarterback, Garcia, goes down with an injury. They insert a freshman to kind of run the show.
I know this freshman very well.
Well, let me get these 30 seconds out. I want you to love him up, baby. So the freshman, Cooper Hayes, insert, and they're obviously protective of him. But what I hear is last game that little young freshman Coop goes on a tear for the final drive and throws a walk-off touchdown pass for Berkeley to beat Calvary. Now, can they do it again? Does the young freshman have enough to him to make more plays in this state semifinals? Now, Matt, you're up first. You have an assignment. Love up the freshman Cooper Hayes, and then give us your breakdown.
All right, man. This kid, I had the pleasure to follow him last year, and he played. He played 7v7, but he also played just like for the NFL flag little organization, and they made it all the way to I think the championship. But this kid is phenomenal, and I already knew he's going to have a huge high school career. There's a couple quarterbacks out there that's been kind of exposed through the 7v7, so we've already kind of got to take a little peek of them. He told me he was going to Berkeley Prep, and I'm super proud that he got his opportunity. But I have to say, one play that he did when he was playing in that championship game, they were beating the team so bad. This is how good this kid is. He pulled his mask over his face like this where he couldn't see.
I think I remember that clip.
Yeah, he hikes the ball and he throws it, and they catch it, and they called it the bird cage, where he was a blind quarterback hikes it and throws a touchdown pass. And so I know he's not going to pull anything like that in high school, but he's a very mature kid. He's just built like that. We're gonna be talking a lot about him. So I didn't really, to be honest with you, this is the kind of first I've really heard much about him. I've seen him. I follow him, so I saw some of his plays and him throwing the touchdowns, but I didn't know that the quarterback had went down. So he's now starting for Berkeley Prep. Wow, that's awesome. Good for him. And then obviously I've been following Dallas Golden. That kid's phenomenal as well. Berkeley Prep, man, they've really wowed me this year. And then now to see, man, you guys would be. I know a lot of people don't know who Cooper Hayes is, but he's that kind of kid. As a freshman, he will take this team and just blow your mind. And he can throw. He can. The kid is just smart. He's gonna wow you guys. So they're gonna be playing Berkeley
American
Prep American
Heritage.
So that's American Heritage is also a very tough team. That's gonna be a big game. And what a man.
So
that's
Derek,
a tough one.
So Derek, ball's in your court. Can the inexperienced freshman quarterback and a veteran stud in Dallas Golden put a dent in the American Heritage armor?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. You know, it's we'll see.
Did I talk about? Nah, he's good, but man, American Heritage, that's going to be a tough game. You know, this is what it's all about, though, right? Let's put the
right.
Let's let people put them in a position where they can really shine. Yeah.
And Berkeley Prep not known to be a passing offense. Their bread and butter is on the ground. Their offensive line moves the line of scrimmage. They always have good running backs. They have a quality quarterback, and it seems to be much of the same this year. They're going to have to play keep away from American Heritage and chew up the clock. If you don't have a high potent offense, the best thing you do is steal possessions and keep that other offense off the field. So if Berkeley Prep can chew up clock every single drive, they'll get a win. That's almost as good as 3 points. All right, not as good as 6 or 7, but it's almost as good as 3 if you can keep that offense off the field. So shout out to Berkeley Prep again. They're in a familiar place. They were a state championship contender last year, I believe. So Berkeley Prep has all the makings of making that game again. American Heritage, obviously, to the state of Florida, we know how good that program has been over the years. State championship program, a number of great players have come out of there. But let me see. I think that is all the area teams. Cardinal Mooney at North Florida Christian. Any thoughts on that one? Cardinal Mooney versus North Florida Christian. That's a 2 seed versus a 3 seed. 1S.
No, I love seeing it. I had a coaching buddy yesterday hit me up and you know how I am. I don't even pay attention to what's going on. I'm so busy on film. I'm like, I didn't even realize they were, and I'm like, man, that's great. But yeah, he wanted me to come down and see him. I wish I could, but glad to see them, back on track, getting it done. So yeah, no, it's I'm glad you were able to mention them. Yeah, they've had a big year so far, and let's see if they can take on NFC up there. Yep, we'll see.
All right, we're going to end with this last question. So pull up the list of area teams real quick. Here's our last question. Out of all the teams we mentioned, all the teams left in the area, okay? Who do you expect to have the biggest individual player that will have the biggest impact?
I'm going to go with Waltese Clark over at Plant.
Okay.
He's been really good. So I think he's going to be the game changer for that, maybe for them.
Okay. Derek, you got one? I'll go while you're looking. I'm going Jashawn Newton.
See, yeah, that's who I was going to go with too at CCC. I think they're going to pull that. I think I would second that. My guy right behind that would be a old D lineman at Tampa Gate. They're number one. See if he can get after it. I'm with you on Newton out of CCC. Yeah, no doubt.
All right, to all the area teams, and matter of fact, just in general, just all the teams in the state, period. Good luck to everybody. Number one, let's just come out healthy, no serious injuries. A little bang, little bruise is fine, but no serious injuries. To those seniors, fight like dogs. And then specifically our area teams, hey, hold it down for Central Florida. Do what you do.